The book that you write is who you are, right? It's a journey inwards. It was very scary because I said, okay, here I am, world. This is me. Through the book, I'm sharing who I am. But it's the most beautiful things to do because the book you write is about your authenticity. It's really being transparent. It's about sharing your values and your beliefs. And today I was looking at a chapter of the book because I need to write something. And I come to my husband and said, you know what? Actually, I wrote a great book. And it was that shift from how scary it is to loving the book that you write. It's really the best book because it's the book of your life.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Today, we're going to talk about life. We're going to talk about the box of life. Specifically, we have a very special guest today. It's Orit Ramler. Orit and I go way back, and to have her on the show is kind of full circle for me. I'm a little tied up here because we were just talking on the phone, and I got emotional. I got in my feelings, as they say. Orit went through coach training with me. We went to Newfield Networks. We were both trying to find our way in this world of coaching that we had no preconceived understanding of. And it's been over 12 years, and we both have successful coaching practices. We both are making a difference in this world. We're both now published authors, and we're both so excited to be doing what we're doing. And I'm glad to be able to share this project with you because I really think the world of Orit. And this book is something that I think will catch you and really catch you off guard, like it has me, of looking back over some of the bigger moments in life and just really thinking about the impact that they've made and remembering those in a way that really connects me to who I've become. And I really am excited to share this with you today. Orit and I talk about the box of life. So if you really do want to support our guest on the show, check out this book. You can buy it where you buy books, and just hopefully you will find the impact on this that I know is possible. So here's our interview with Orit. Orit, how are you?
I'm doing great, and I'm so happy to see you and to be here with you.
Absolutely. And I've already let our audience know a little bit about you and our friendship going back many, many years, taking coaching together, becoming coaches as we were finding our way in this world. I'm going to let you kind of catch us up on where you are right now with your business and your book.
Thank you. So I've been coaching for 12 years, the same as you. And I have my own company, Make It a Good One Coaching and Consulting. And I'm doing personal and professional development through my company. So I have coaching clients across all industries and anyone who wants to remain successful at what they do and have a safe space for thinking and growth. And in the midst of everything, I wrote a book, The Box of Life, and now it included a new dimension into my coaching because I'm helping people lead inwards towards what matters most to them and how they want to live their life and the legacies that they're leaving behind.
Well, that resonates with me for sure because us being coaches together, I wanted to make a difference in this world. And it's really interesting to see how that's happened for both of us because we were catching up before I hit the recorder. But when you think about the life you're living right now, sort of a dream, isn't it, to be making a difference in the life of all these leaders?
It is every day I get inspired by my clients to start with. So every conversation is a conversation of growth for me as well as for my clients. And yes, it is about making the difference. Especially when I wrote the book, I said, if I can touch one life, have some impact in a small group of people, that's everything to me.
Well, the book is a big part of our conversation today, and I always love to ask authors, why did you have to write this book? Because I know it's a lot of work, takes a lot of time, and you have to sacrifice, but why did you have to write this book?
I always wanted to write. I think that as coaches, we listen to many stories, and we have a lot of stories to tell, and we know the value of storytelling and thinking, what other story can I tell myself? I remember that was one of the foundations of our coaching training. And then one day, I opened the door to a stranger who moved into the community, and I was working at a not-for-profit, and I welcomed him, and he was an older man, almost 50 years older than me. And you know, when you click with someone, and we became very, very good friends. And he was a very, very interesting man. We all have interesting lives. And he had lots of inspiring mottos and life philosophy and purpose. And he will tell me stories. And one day he tells me, Orit, I want you to write my memoir. And I said, but Charles, I'm not a writer. English, as you can see, is not my first language. Why me? And he said, because you get me. And I realized he wanted to share stories. So I said, you know what? We will meet every other week. He will tell me stories and we'll see where it takes us. So I started meeting with Charles, and he told me, I want the world to know who Charles Stern is. And then one day he gives me a very heavy box, torn, old box. And he says, Orit, you have my life in your hands. I grabbed that box, I hugged the box because it was a month's life. I bring it home, I open it, and I got chills. I felt like an archaeologist digging and finding pieces and putting them together. And I found a life in that box. And the life was not about, I don't know, things or stuff. It was about values. It was about poems that his wife wrote to him for 50 years during Valentine's in these yellow old papers. It was about some health report, letters when he was let go from a job, his favorite quotes. It was about lessons, poems. It was really about who this man was, his essence. And that's when I called him. I said, Charles, that's our book. And I started doing lots of research. I learned a lot about life review therapy and the value of looking at the past to enrich our present and being able to plan for the future. And that's when I knew that I need to share his story and the box of life.
That's a beautiful way to describe it. And I'd never heard of this life review therapy. To share a little bit about that.
So it's used a lot with older people, dementia, Alzheimer's, and from what I learned, it's a valuable tool for all of us. Think about looking at the movie of your life and going back. Many times we forget the things that we learned or accomplished in the past, and we think that our present circumstances is everything that we have. So, for example, when my dad was diagnosed with early Parkinson and I was working on this, I said, Dad, I want you to put your box of life. And I explained the idea. And for our box of life, we need to curate our life. Because if I ask you, Jean, tell me about your life, you won't tell me everything from the day you were born. You will tell me only the most important things. And that's what goes in the box. So my dad he spent hours and days putting his box together. And he comes to me with his box and he said, you know what? I just realized that my life was much better than what it is now, that my life actually was good. And he learned how he persevered sometimes when he had challenges, how he overcame them. He learned about resilience. He learned about times of joy. So by going back and reviewing our lives, there is a lot that we can learn in the present moment, and it's very healing.
Now, Ori mentioned legacy, and we didn't talk much about it today, but I'm curious. Do you feel like you're on a path of legacy? Are you aligned with your values? Are you in an integrity around who you know that you can become and that best version of yourself? Are you letting it shine through, or is it something getting in the way? Now, only you can answer the question to this, but since we've been talking about the box of life, about legacy, I'm asking you, what is your legacy? What will others say about you and your demise, your departure from this world? Well, you get to shape a little bit about that now. Maybe it's that you're kind and generous. Maybe it's that you are a leader. Maybe it's that you actually give a damn. I don't know what it is for you, but if you're more clear you are about what it is, the more you can do more of it. And so that you truly can make that a part of your legacy. back to Orit. What did you learn about your life in writing this book, Orit?
That's a wonderful question. It was a journey of nostalgia. That's one of the things that I'm actually trying also to evoke, and it was very nostalgic for me. There were times where I was writing tears and I had to rewrite whatever I was writing because it was pure emotion. And the most important thing that I learned was about the things that really matter most in my life, the people that I met through my life that enriched my life. So in my book, I share a lot about mentors, about friends who taught me things, about strangers that maybe said something to me that had an impact. It's really, I learned a lot about, the people who had an impact in my life.
So it's incredible how powerful books are. And I can't give credit to whoever said this, but I know this is your first book, right? The best book you will ever read is the book that you write.
I love that.
What does that mean to you? Because I know how I describe what that means, but what does it mean to you after you've just finished this book?
That the book that you write is who you are, right? It's a journey inwards. It was very scary because I said, okay, here I am, world. This is me. Through the book, I'm sharing who I am. But it's the most beautiful things to do because the book you write is about your authenticity. It's really being transparent. It's about sharing your values and your beliefs. And today I was looking at a chapter of the book because I need to write something. And I come to my husband and said, you know what? Actually, I wrote a great book. And it was that shift from how scary it is to loving the book that you write. It's really the best book because it's the book of your life.
When you think about the book now that you put out and you talk about your life and your values, how would we know that you've captured it? Is there a certain element or a story in the book that you feel like really represents what this book is?
Yes. The whole book is about how different stories weave together. And it is the story, my story, Charles' story, my dad's story, and my client's stories. And all of them together create a universal story, the story of humanity. And through everything that everyone shared with me, it is a way of looking into people in a different dimension. So every story brings that dimension into the soul. At one point, I said, you need to read this book with the eyes of your soul because it teaches us all the things that we have in common. So I have a story of a mother who is putting a box for her kids because she was diagnosed with cancer and she wants to make sure that her kids will know about her. I have the story of a man who had struggles and he wanted his kids to learn from that. I have a story of a leader who learned about accountability when he broke his brother's bike as a young child on a neighbor's site and went to his parents and he told his parents what happened, and his parents were very upset because not because he broke the bike but because he lied and he didn't share that, and he learned accountability. And now when something happened at work and he made a big mistake that cost the company a lot, he was able to share, okay, I did this, how can we solve it? And something amazing came out from that. So every story makes that the story that we have very special and a lesson for all of us.
Well, I'm glad that you've written this book and putting it out for us. I'm sitting here with the author of The Box of Life, and we're talking about, a book that's changing the way you see the world, is changing the way you see your stories. I want to also ask you, it's hard to write a book because you have to cut out things that you love. You have to cut out stories, or you have to cut out parts of the book that just don't fit because you're told by your editors, hey, we've got to trim this book. So what did you have to cut out in order to make this book?
So the easiest part is to start. The hardest part is to know when to end. Right? I would keep writing and adding and adding. I left out some research that I wanted to do, more stories that I wanted to include. Every it was like a ripple effect. Every story led to a different story. And I left out a few chapters about education, community, neighborhood. It's really choosing. I had to choose, some chapters, but I couldn't go into everything. But that will be the next book, right? There is always a next time.
We've been talking about Orit's book, The Box of Life. Really admire her for putting out this book and sharing it with you today. Now, we've also got a book, me and my wife, Amanda Hammett, have written How to Have Tough Conversations. It is coming out very soon. If you want to get a preview of that, you can go to coreelevation.com/tough conversations. In that, we will probably put a couple of chapters to really help you understand it, but also give you the frameworks and give you the tools that are inside there. So you have that at your fingertips. Just go to coreelevation.com/tough conversations, and you can download that framework for free. And you'll be notified when the book does launch, whenever that is. Back to Orit. Yeah, I know it's one of the hardest parts is to know when it's done. And usually you need outside force on that. It's not up to you and me as authors, because we could keep working and tinkering and we do until someone tells us stop. So Orit, you've been sharing with us about your book. I would love to connect the dots for our listeners here. Your work as an executive coach, you're reaching into the executive levels, you're reaching it throughout organizations. How is this book that you've written now, you plan to use it inside the work that you do as a coach?
So I started using it from day one when I started doing research on life review therapy and leading inwards. And it is helping me. It is a tool for everyone in the executive world to think about what matters most to me, what kind of a leader I am, what kind of a leader I want to be, what I'm putting in my box, and what's missing in my box. So it's an invitation for a lot of introspection, and also to understand if the stories that are in my box are aligned with my values. Because, like any car, when there is no alignment, things can happen. So we need to make sure that we are aligned with the things that are most important as leaders. And that's how I'm using it. So I'm putting leadership boxes together, companies, teams, and we're looking into common stories, memories, and alignment.
Well, it's been great to have you on here. I don't know if there's anything we've left out, but I'll give you a chance. What is it that you think is really necessary for our audience to understand why they should go out and buy this book, Orit?
Thank you for asking that. So if you want to think, or if you want to answer these fundamental questions, who am I? How am I living my life? What's most important to me? How I want to be remembered? And what I want to pass to generations to come? This is the book for you. It's an invitation for introspection, and it is an invitation to think how you're living your life.
Thank you so much for being here. A pleasure to talk about your book, The Box of Life, to catch up with you, Orit, and really just to share in your life's journey of this work that we call coaching.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate that you're part of my box of life, Jim. So that's awesome.
Wow, another great interview here on the podcast. So excited to share with you about The Box of Life, about Orit, and introduce you to her in this work. I am overjoyed with the ability to continue to bring on people that I feel like will add value to your life and really give you clarity as a leader. And this is this is an example of doing that, just doing this over and over and over. So I really appreciate you allowing us to serve you, being in our audience and listening to this. If there's any way you can help us or we can help you, a little tongue-tied today, but you get what I'm trying to say, hopefully. When you think of growth and you think of leadership, think of Growth Think Tank. As always, lead with courage. We'll see you next time.